Hello and welcome to the 96th episode of the Gochuucast. And today, like we said last week, since last week was like a very specific topic,
True.
we kind of skipped over it a bit. But we wanted to start off this episode with, I guess, I don't know if a memorial would be the right word, but I guess just a little talk about what went on with Akira Toriyama. Obviously, a very, very impactful piece of news that came out for the anime community, and so rather than stumble through the seasonals we watch or drama on Twitter, oh, there is drama on Twitter surrounding this, but anyway, um, first
Is
and
drama
foremost,
surrounding this? Okay,
so
yeah.
yeah, in
Later.
classic,
Yeah, yeah.
we'll get to it, but first off,
Okay.
before we get to the drama, obviously the man himself, so it was like an acute sub. Fuck, dude, I should have like had this open.
Aneurysm, right? Or stroke, or I forget
No,
exactly.
it's something to do with like a buildup of blood in the head. Uh,
Yeah, isn't that oh, subdural hematoma. Yeah, okay, right. It's just
yeah, that.
basically
Uh,
blood collects at some part of the brain, yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
makes
and then
sense.
I think it was also revealed by one of his assistants that apparently he was dealing with a brain tumor.
He's scheduled for
Mhm.
surgery in February, which yeah, don't know if that happened, but or he's scheduled for the surgery probably he planned for it in February, but don't know when that was supposed to happen. So yeah, seems like he was dealing with that as well.
Yeah,
Which
just
makes sense because
Yeah,
those are things that would go hand in hand
yeah.
potentially.
yeah. It's definitely it was like very really really sudden. I mean, I guess everything is, but like
Mhm.
especially because no one knew. I don't think he was dealing with this besides probably people close to him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
And
all private.
so I mean, I'm just like laying in bed. I don't remember what time it was. Probably like near either like it might have been at near midnight. I can't remember, but
Mhm.
just suddenly refresh Twitter and boom, there. Like I see at the very top, I see his name. And I just kind of scroll past this. And I'm like, all right, whatever. Just showed in Twitter, probably saying something that I don't really care about.
Mhm.
But then the official Dragon Ball had a big, like statement there. I'm like, oh fuck, like that's not good. And
Mhm.
unfortunately, it was the worst. But yeah, I mean, I put out a small tweet, I guess, but I don't think there. It could be like a whole video essay basically on just how
Course.
impactful he was to not just to anime in general, but I mean specifically to me as well. Because
Yeah.
without Dragon Ball, this podcast isn't here. I don't have one of my biggest hobbies. I don't have my channel, anything like that. I am probably, uh, I mean, fuck, who knows, dude? I'd be, hmm,
Doing
what would
something.
what would I be into if
Never
not for
know.
anime?
It's
Manga.
funny because as someone who hasn't watched Dragon Ball, there's still like a decent argument for me even that like I wouldn't be here or like watching anime or anything like that if it wasn't for Dragon Ball. Not even just because its impacts on anime in general, but just one of the people who really got me into anime was one of my best friends growing up, and he was a huge Dragon Ball fan. And he would play like all the Budokai Tenkaichi games and stuff. And we were
Yeah.
there, and so like, and I would play those games sometimes too, but I didn't know the story. I was just kind of like, oh, the game's pretty fun,
Yeah. I
right?
don't think
And you learn little bits and pieces, but it's like even as someone who wasn't a fan of the series traditionally, it was still something I would say had a huge impact on me getting to where I am now.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, I don't
undeniable.
think it's I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just
Ask
gonna
something.
say that like I do not think it is like an absurd statement that like Dragon Ball, his work on that and just Dragon Ball in general has been the entry point for so many people overseas, outside of Japan for just anime in general. I mean, like Daniel mentioned, himself, but there's a lot of
Even
other people.
in
Yeah.
my understanding, even in Japan,
Oh yeah,
it's
of
been
course.
like
Yeah. Yeah.
one of those things. I think it was in Oda's statement he made. He essentially was like, yeah, Dragon Ball's kind of what made anime like cool to non-kids, right? And
Mhm.
stuff like that. It paraphrased obviously, but it was essentially talking about like, yeah, Dragon Ball was kind of one of the things that really paved the way for how anime now is kind of more than what like American cartoons are, right?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean,
Where it's
yeah, like at this point, they're like literally the country of El Salvador held a like put a nation in mourning type of thing when he passed, which is insane. Like that level of reach that he could, Japanese cartoon, anime, would have, countrywide impact on something in South America. Like stuff like that is just insane to me.
it is also interesting learning with all of this kind of the impact in general that Dragon Ball has had on like a lot of minority communities that you might not necessarily think about or see, but like seeing kind of all that the discourse from like the Hispanic communities and African American communities about how it was like, yeah, this was a show that was readily available to us as kids and really like kind of helped like a lot of those communities just enjoy stuff, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, we had Ed on here, and he talked about his Dragon Ball impact that he watched over and over again, specifically from the start of Z to the Cell Saga. Never got to the Buu Saga,
Hmm.
um, but yeah, I mean, he's a part of that Hispanic group, and just a lot of so many people that get into anime impacted by it in some way. Um, yeah, it's just insane. Like it's like a domino effect. Like he makes one series that even at the time, like it was like after he finished Doctor Slump, he didn't even know if Dragon Ball was actually going to be like properly serialized. But then it did, and then it also became the most one of the most important pieces of media for the entire
For the
industry.
way, yeah, the way that the industry would go from then on was completely different than it would have been in theory without a Dragon Ball there.
Yeah, and I don't think I mean maybe the industry still would have like
Found
exploded at
its
some point. They would have
place,
found
yeah.
something else, but I mean who knows how if that would have had even close to the same impact that this one did. It's just this one just clicked, I guess, with people. Um, I mean, makes sense. Like
Yeah.
the original Dragon Ball was just fun, had an interesting concept, and then you get to Z, and then it's more serious, and so you get the people who might have not have been on board with like a gag comedy like Dragon Ball, and then you get to something more serious with Dragon Ball Z, and it's like, oh fuck, now all of a sudden all these people are coming together to enjoy this one single thing that has continued to be iconic across the world today. I mean, it's one of the highest grossing franchises in history. I think,
Mm.
like maybe not top 10, but close. Um,
It has to be there. There's
list of highest grossing media franchises. Obviously, Pokemon is up top.
that still kind of blows my mind. Like it makes sense, but it's just like weird. It's just Pokemon the kids game. I don't know, just so like massive everywhere.
Okay, none of these lists are. Okay, here we go.
Uh, I'm looking at
So
Wikipedia.
Pokemon, Hello Kitty, Winnie the Pooh, Mickey Mouse, Star Wars, and Man, Disney Princess Mario, Shonen Jump specifically.
Yeah, Dragon Ball's like
It's like
9.48 billion, and
I see, I see 24 billion on here.
okay,
Dragon
Wikipedia
Ball's
lied to
helped a
me.
lot. Dragon Ball's helped a lot too by the fact that the games are quite successful.
Yeah, like
Which is something that not a lot of
anime.
anime series can
Yeah,
say.
Yeah,
like if I look at this
But actually, there are
three
chart,
quite a
billion is
few really
insane.
good Dragon Ball games.
like the Dragon Ball video games are like, practically like a fourth, maybe a little less than that, but very close to
Yeah, it's a
the
third, about a
revenue for
third of that.
everything else.
Yeah.
Like obviously the manga is like the highest grossing part of it, and then merch, and then it's video game.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I mean it's pretty high up there just for like I can't tell exactly where that is. Let me say that'd be 5. And that would be another 5.
It's
Okay, it's
yeah, it's
15.
probably in the
It
20s, I
is
guess.
top 15 at number
Oh, okay.
15.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's there's no question that it's just had like an insane influence on like everything. anime, manga. I mean, even other things. So
Mm.
I think everybody, in addition to Dragon Ball, I think everybody knows about, or like a lot. Dragon Ball is very famous, of course, but like even if you think about like Toriyama's like other things that he's worked on, like Dragon Quest and Chrono Trigger, like in terms of video games, right? For those are some of the most beloved video
Yep.
games of all time, and his art style, for example, is like very, very recognizable, right? Main characters with like spiky hair and I don't know how to describe it, but the art style is like very, very iconic. It's like you can instantly tell, right? So I mean, for me, Chrono Trigger is my favorite game of all time. So of course, that's had a massive influence on my experience and preference in terms of video games I like and dislike. But yeah, it's like interesting to think about, like it's not only Dragon Ball, but it's like other things that he's worked on and how like um his vision and art style is just so recognizable in media. So sure.
Yeah. I mean, fuck, it's even found its way into meme culture. Like, Goku's just,
Mhm.
like, the
Oh, of
pictures, well,
course,
you
yeah.
put, like, the red circle around something, but Goku's just in the background, like, uncircled, the funny. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Um, I think yeah, also like I mentioned the hairstyles, like I feel like that like just the spiky hair and then like going Super Saiyan and like the hair, changing colors and like getting
Mhm.
I
spiky.
mean,
I don't know, that
iconic
feels so
for sure.
iconic.
Yeah,
It
don't
feels
look at her hair tier list.
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Hairstyle tier list,
No,
yeah.
but that's like very recognizable. So yeah, it is sad. He's had a huge influence on a lot of things. I'm trying to think if there are any other franchises that we didn't talk about. Because there's like the um Doctor Slump manga, which I don't
Yeah,
know
but
much about, but
none of us are really familiar with Doctor Slump. I don't think,
Yeah,
unless
like, the
Daniel.
most exposure I've gotten to Dr. Slump would be, like, its appearance, like, as a cameo in, like, Dragon Ball Super, so
Yeah.
there you go.
it's not, like, not something I'm super,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
I may have seen the art, but like that's it. Um
I mean, yeah, like, it's appeared in Dragon Ball, it's just, I have not actually watched or read the original source material.
mhm.
Next season, actually, there's an anime coming out for, what was it, Sandland? Oh, fuck, what was it? It was, yeah, Sandland. I think it had a movie already. Yeah, it did. But this one's gonna be like the first like 6 episodes are based on the movie, and then the everything after that is a new arc. So he'll have a new anime for one of his works coming out. Um, so yeah, I mean and then Dragon Ball Daima is fall, yeah, fall 2024.
Yeah.
So he's still
Mhm.
got, even post mortem, he's gonna have a bunch of stuff that comes out, and he might have been working on even more in the background that we just don't know about. So yeah,
I think another thing was like the um just like massive outpouring of support from like other around the world. Trying to remember what I saw. There was like a huge rally in like I think it was Ecuador or something like that. After his death.
I don't remember how legitimate this was. I didn't look into it, but I remember seeing a picture floating around talking about the Mexican cartels having a
Yeah,
ceasefire,
I I can't
and I
imagine
don't
that
feel like
is a
that.
true statement. I hate
I was gonna say I don't think that sounded credible, but imagine if it was.
if there was anything to do it, it would certainly be this. I mean, I guess to just like get into the drama part of it. A lot of people were definitely trying to capitalize on like the Twitter impressions off his death,
Oh
which
yeah,
is really fucking annoying. Twitter Blue is so stupid.
yeah,
Like there's a thing that's like, oh, look at this Dragon Ball parade that they're having in this country to celebrate his passing or like honor him. But then of course community notes, like the one good thing Twitter's ever added was like, this is like from years ago. They were just having like a
yeah,
normal parade, and it's like, fuck off, dude. And like so many people using AI art to make things of course, like AR, like the art itself gets the impressions, and the people shitting on you for using AI art gets the
yeah, yeah,
impressions.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
like, come on, man.
mhm,
People are so tactless. Like, they'll do anything for
yeah, for sure, for
an
sure.
extra like 10 cents from Daddy Musk.
Yeah. Some people, I don't know, they just don't care. They just want the engagements, I guess. I saw a TikTok of like parades in like rural South America, and it's just, I don't know, it's just cool to see like just the amount of support and like the amount of recognition in a lot of places. Just kind of further enforces that, anime or um, at least one of the franchises, but obviously like anime in general is like such a worldwide phenomenon nowadays. That its cultural impact is so great across the world. I think that's awesome. I always like it when like I don't know, it just makes you feel more connected to people across the globe when they share your interests and stuff like that. That's just a personal thing, so it's cool to see. It's very cool to see.
Yeah. It also exploded into, in classic fashion, we can't have nice things. Everyone came together for like 5 minutes, and then they started debating on whether the old dub or the Kai dub was better, and that's
Oh
been on my Twitter
God,
feed for a bit. It's like,
dub
who
debates are
fucking
crazy.
cares? Like,
It's such a random one too,
yeah, they're like,
because it
oh,
doesn't even have anything to do with anything, honestly.
Yeah,
yeah.
it's
I mean, it's just like an influx of people talking about stuff, but then they're like, oh, the old one is better than the new one, or the new one's better than the old one. Guys, you should actually watch the sub. And then giant fucking debate, of course, over that. And it's like, come on. 5 minutes, guys. Can we go for 5 minutes without, like, going at each other's throats for engagement? But yeah, I mean, definitely not, well, it's not on my 2024 bingo card to lose
no,
someone this influential.
should never be. But yeah, it is sad. It's hard to believe.
Yeah, been losing a few mangaka recently, and I mean, it's just unfortunate. I mean, that's just how, with how interconnected the world is, like, you're always going to be losing someone influential every now and then, but,
Yeah,
doesn't make it any less hurtful, I guess.
yeah. I forgot the saying.
Yeah.
What is it like? A person dies, not or like what is it? A person is
It's only when
Is
they're
this the One
forgotten
Piece
or whatever.
quote?
yeah, something
This
like
is
Yeah,
that.
the
Yeah,
this is the every anime
this is
quote. Like,
it is every
but
quote,
it's like
but it's
that lasting legacy is always going to be there, right? Like
yeah,
yeah.
that's the most important. I mean, that's the I shouldn't say the most important, but that's like a very important thing to remember. Is like you know the fact that he's had such an impact, it's going to last for a really really long time. That's the I guess like positive spin, silver lining of it.
Hmm.
yeah.
So
I guess leads can lead to a positive segue here. It's just that like quote. A lot of anime have like the exact same like lessons to tell. Like, when you think of
this
anime
most media,
tropes, you
right?
think of
Yeah.
like tsunderes and shit like that, but then you never think about like the classic, like, every anime has like that line.
Mm,
Um
Hmm.
like, the memory, as long as they're remembered, they're not dead, or they're always in your heart. I
right.
mean, that's always in your heart's a classic for everyone, but
Of course, of course.
another one's like, instead of saying I'm sorry, say thank you. That's in like every anime ever.
Yeah.
So a lot of anime have like the exact same, like, I mean, it's probably like cultural significance, I would assume, rather than just like, unless someone just
Hmm.
said it once one day and someone's like, shit, dude, I gotta write that down. And they use it in there and it just spreads like fucking wildfire. Yeah.
I think that's true. Like, I think it's probably just because like I think in media in general, like those I don't want to say life lessons, but like those kinds of phrases or like take home messages, they like connect with human nature and it can kind of be boiled down to like a few things, like a few basic human lessons. I feel like just like those kinds of messages are like common in all media, not just anime, right? Like
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah,
it's
the messages, but I
yeah,
mean,
it's like
anime
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 makes it
is
like
like
snappy and like
word for word
yeah,
every
yeah,
time, like the
yeah, just the
exact
way it's
same
said.
thing, instead of like saying it in a
Yeah,
different way.
yeah. There's a very iconic or recognizable way that they tend to say things, but
You know, you see it for the first time, like, oh, that's a nice like takeaway like that. Yeah, and then you see it in like 10 other anime, you're like, oh.
yeah, no, but yeah, it's they have a way with words, not always in a good way, but they have a way with words for sure.
Yeah.
I
What's
think
the
it's also possible that like the fact that it's subtitled could like
I
I don't
do
know.
wonder
Like,
that. Like there are
yeah,
times where like I'll see it kind of like repeat wording. I'm like, I don't care enough to go back to see if they said the exact same
exactly.
Japanese like,
Yes.
you know, phrasing, or if they like change their words, but the subtitles like, fuck it, dude, close enough.
Yeah.
Because Freerun does that a little bit, and I thought about going back, and I didn't really care to. But there'll be like
Mhm.
something said at one part of the episode, and then someone later will say the exact same thing, maybe even more times than that, and it's like, okay, some of these, yes, they're saying like the same thing, but because it's like general concepts in the world, but some of them are like really on the nose, and I'm like, I wonder if the subtitle is just like, let's just make it on the nose, or if there could have been ways to like rephrase, but they just didn't feel like putting in that work. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Um, yeah. Could be like an old proverb or something that like we just don't know about. I don't know. They just copied it. Uh, yeah, hard to say.
Yeah, I mean, every media has like some phrases, I guess. I feel like,
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of the times you have to be careful about where you use them, because I think like, I think a thing that probably tempts a lot of authors is if you have like a fantasy setting, but you have like a real world saying like, don't let the, or don't count your chickens before they hatch. It's like, would that really um happen in the real world? Like, uh or
Yeah.
like would they come up with the same fucking phrase, you know, even though it's a fantasy world type, that type of
Yeah,
thing?
I,
Like
I
it
see that
might.
sometimes in like when subtitles happen, where it like kind of I don't want to say ruins the immersion, but it's like, ooh, would they actually say that in that specific scenario? You know, the subtitle whoever makes the subtitles will like translate it to like a common phrase that we would use, like an idiom or like some other phrase that we would use. And it's like, does that really make sense? Like, would they actually say that? So I think that's also like a subtitle thing. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, even not even just specifically in Japanese media. I mean, like
Mhm.
you'll see it in English as well, like
Yeah.
Western media, where you'll have. I mean, it's probably like something that keeps some books from getting, um, like published. Like an editor might see like a very common, like general real world phrase,
Mhm.
like in a fantasy setting, and be like, no. Apparently, I mean, editors are apparently like really fucking strict about what they choose. Like, you have to immediately grab them, and if you do anything wrong, you're cooked, type of thing.
Oh,
Yeah, 'cause, I mean, because
yeah.
they have to go through. I mean, so many different like manuscripts, I guess.
Oh
But it's
yeah,
like,
for sure. I mean, it's a huge process. I'm curious about like the translation process just in general too. Like not just like I mean, obviously like um you're talking about just like editing in general, but I'm curious what kind of process goes through like translating like manga and stuff like that. Like uh not just in terms of accuracy, but like making it make sense. You know what I mean? Like you can't just do a one-to-one translation in a lot of cases, but you'd have to,
yeah,
you know, find an appropriate phrase to use. Like you know, Angel Next Door I think did a good job of like making it flow. Like it didn't feel like I was reading a translation of a book. It just felt like um you know, just like a normal book. Like there are very few times where I felt like it was like, you know, it was weird or it felt like very obviously translated. I'm
yeah.
curious about that, but I don't know anything about it.
I mean, I guess these days, like translation notes are kind of a thing of the past. You'll see them
All
every now
right.
and then in like very niche situations, but mostly like scanlation teams are the only ones who use them at this point. Like 100 Girlfriends, for example, their scanlation team, that like 100 Girlfriends is obviously a gag comedy, and so there's obviously a lot of comedy in it, and a lot of Japanese comedy can be very difficult to translate over into English. And so
Right.
sometimes they'll just be like, "Yeah, we tried." Like
Yeah.
there's one joke where they had to like just like make something up. Basically, they're like, "Yeah, we don't know what to fucking do here," so we just made something that would like kind of make sense in this context, kind of. And
Mhm.
then there are like speech patterns where like, you know, one of the girlfriends introduced like had a certain speech pattern, and they're like, yeah, this like literally does not exist in modern Japanese. We don't know how to translate this. Like it's just that like niche.
Right.
And so, you know, they take creative liberties with that. Uh
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's a difficult process, and then obviously like the deadlines for like actual editors and translators probably don't help that.
For sure. For sure. I think the one thing that like I guess a translator know would be helpful for. Like the one thing I'm thinking of is like in a lot of cases, in Japan, for example, I mean, obviously the authors of manga and anime are from Japan. So, they'll have references to like cultural events that occur in Japan, right? So like one example I can think of is like I think it's like the Cherry Blossom Festival, that you see like in a lot of cases in anime, right? Like they're all dressed in like, I don't know if it's specifically that one, but like, a Japanese festival where like everybody dresses in what's
Like
the
the yukata
yukata? Yeah,
yeah.
it's not, I was thinking kimono, but it's not that. Yukata, and like they have some like traditions, obviously, right? And like those things are not like easily translatable. I mean, they're like, yes, you can translate it to like Cherry Blossom Festival, but like some of the traditions and stuff are like,
Like
they're
you can
not.
translate it, but you might not
Yeah, exactly,
understand like what it's
exactly.
all about if you're not like into
So
the
in those,
culture.
I see like a translator note being useful. I think like in I feel like I've had this in a few anime where like uh they'll translate it to something that like Americans, or that's more common in the Western world. Like, oh, the obvious like
The
example that's
Pokemon
like,
jelly donut.
yeah, I was about to say that. That's like the most obvious one, which is like obviously terrible, right? But like, I think there were other scenarios where I've noticed like, okay, like I know what this is in Japan, and I know it's not actually called this, but you just made it sound like this. You translated it as this to make it more accessible, or so that people could understand. So in those scenarios, that's different from like including a translator note or something like that. Personally, I'd prefer like a translator note. Just translate it and just tell me what it is. That's okay with me. You don't have to make it a jelly donut, right? So
I mean, yeah, I mean, I get like translation notes wouldn't work for kids really, but
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I mean, I don't know. It's like is a rice ball that like significantly different culture wise to the point where you can't
No,
just
you
say.
can just say like it's a snack or something. I don't remember the exact context of like it was just like
Well, I
primate
guess because
cereal,
they didn't
right?
want to
Yeah.
understand like or not even explain. Like they just don't
Confused.
want to like rice ball with like I don't know whatever filling they had in it. Like they're
I
just like all right,
forget.
jelly donut it is. Like
Yeah, yeah.
the kids won't know
I
the
mean, that's like a
difference.
very obvious, like weird example, but it's like
Yeah.
I feel like there are other scenarios where um that happens. And I'm just like, dude, just tell me what it is. That's okay. Um, but yeah. I don't know. Yeah, obviously it's not possible in a lot of cases to like include a translator note, especially when it's for kids. It's just
Yeah, like with
um
manga, like you can do it like in
yeah,
between the panels,
that's
and so
very
you'll
easy.
see that sometimes. And then usually with like novels, you might see something at the start, like the Tomozaki novels, for example.
Mhm.
Um, like the honorific system in Japan is obviously something that's
Yes,
like
yes.
very controversial translation wise because you can either just keep it as it is or you could translate it to like the closest possible thing, and usually it's the closest possible thing, and it just makes everything seem weird because in no like world is a teenager calling their like a friend of theirs like miss anything like that.
Right.
um and so in the Tomozaki novels, at the very start, it's like, okay, we kept the honorifics. If you don't know what they mean, here they are. This is like
Okay, yeah.
the closest explanation we can give to you. But like, to keep everything normal, we're keeping the honorifics in there. I respect that. Um, I'm sure some might just like remove them entirely as well. I don't know. I haven't read. I have two Angel novels sitting on my shelf that I need to read. I haven't read it in a while, so I don't remember if they had
I
honorifics in
don't
there as
remember
well. I
actually.
want to
I think
say
they
they
just
just straight up removed them,
yeah, they
because I
just
definitely
make it.
don't remember them being like Miss Mahiru or anything. So it's probably just removed.
Yeah, I don't remember them using like, because I think there's also like I mean, I'm not very knowledgeable, but if I recall correctly, like just random information I have, but like I think there's like additional levels of honorifics. Like if you're talking to someone who's like older than you, or like a someone you don't know, and then there's like an extremely respected person, right? Like someone who's like very old and like you're very well respected. There's like an extra level of honorifics, and like that would be like hard to translate as well, right? Because there's no equivalent in like English, right? Like I mean, even if like the most I shouldn't say respected, but like even if you're talking to someone like the president, or like some like I don't know 90-year-old master of his craft, I don't know what the equivalent example would be, but like that doesn't exist in English, right? So
Well, I think
um
with
Yeah, I don't know how they
when it
translate
comes
it.
to like the translations for that type of stuff. I guess what you're talking about would be like the Sama and the Dono type stuff, or
Yeah,
any,
I
because like they also
guess.
have like in their language like more respectful ways to say things, which
Yeah, that's what I'm
we can
saying. Yeah,
translate on some level.
yeah.
It's like more formal language as opposed to like relaxed, casual conversation type of
Mhm.
thing. Um, so like maybe you have to go a little more overboard in translating it to like a form of English that most people probably wouldn't use these days, but um, I think it's still possible.
Yeah. And like, uh, there's some, I was thinking, like I, was thinking about like those honorific levels, and like obviously we don't have that in English, but like, some things that I was thinking of were like, uh, when you like when you're talking about like children, you use the word kids, right? Versus like when you're talking about children in like an academic sense, basically have to use the word child, right? Like you can't use the word kid. Like in those scenarios, there's some like leeway in terms of like, okay, you can kind of change the wording to make it seem more formal, but there's no like when you're referring to respected person or an older person, there's no equivalent in English. So it's just you can't. I mean, you can't translate that. So um, I do like the idea that you mentioned where they just like kept the honorifics in and they just gave you a guide at the beginning, right? Like that makes
Yeah,
sense
like
to me.
keeping the honorifics is best case scenario. I would rather have them removed than ever see like with Nagatoro-san, they translate it to like Miss Nagatoro. It's like what the fuck are you doing, dude?
Yeah, yeah, that doesn't really make sense. Yeah,
Like
I mean,
no
in the
one's gonna
context
say
of
that.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
I wonder what like the is that just like a general decision that gets made by whoever's translating? Like,
I have
do
no
they
idea.
have the final
Yeah,
call
it depends on
on?
who's translating. Yeah,
I would because
yeah,
I would assume within the text that that would be like the assumption is that whoever's translating chooses like how they're going to translate it. Um, I don't know. Yeah, I wonder if we'll see like less and less of that, um, like changing it
yeah.
to
I
like
don't know how it's
Miss and stuff like
changed.
that.
Yeah, I don't know how it's changed. Personally, I think like I agree that like removing it is like fine too, but it's just I feel like I've seen like cases. I mean, I'm sure you have too, where they just kept like the san or like the chan or like whatever, like those kinds of things, right? And like even in the translations, like that exists as well. It's just um like if you're a regular anime watcher, you kind of have some idea of like what those things mean, but like someone who doesn't, it's like they don't know, right? Um, like
Yeah, like they might just like straight think that's like part of their name or something like that. Like,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah, I
yeah.
mean, I get that. I mean, I feel like the only anime that are ever gonna like have that though is like the things that are niche enough to the point where you're probably gonna know what the honorifics are.
Yeah, that's
Um,
true. That's true.
yeah, I would imagine that would be the case. Because I mean, like Dragon Ball Z obviously doesn't have anything like that. Um, I guess that is, you know, that's an interesting thing. Like in like Dragon Ball, like his name is Son Goku, but very rarely I feel like in the dub do you ever hear anyone call him Son Goku.
Um,
I can't remember it for sure, but I mean, very like it doesn't happen often. Like I remember him saying it once, like Goku himself.
yeah, because Sun is just like uh I don't want to say Sun is just a family name, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah,
it's like Sun Wukong, right? Is like the Chinese name, but then Sun Goku is like the Japanese version of it. I'm pretty sure, right? Like Sun is just like
yeah. I
the
mean, it's the
yeah,
family name or whatever.
yeah.
But
So they just call
it's
him Goku.
interesting that
Yeah.
like they like go out of their way to get rid of it.
Mhm.
Um, which I guess because like names are done differently in, you know, because they'll have like the last name first and then the first name, that type
Oh
of
yeah,
thing.
that's true. Yeah, yeah,
I think it's also just they don't tend to like call people by multiple names in like because I think of like in my like social life, I will like call people by different names based on my relationship with them, right?
Yeah.
Which they have that with honorifics, but at the same time, it's kind of like I might know person A by their first name and person B by their last name, just because that's the
But,
nickname or
like
name I
in
call them
general, we
by.
call people by their first names, right? Like I think in general, like
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
Yeah,
So
I mean, I
that's why
guess it
I
depends
sort of
on
just
like the culture of where you are. Like in high school, a lot of people went with like last names, like
yeah.
depending on
Most
the
people
like
called me by
scenario.
my last
As
name.
nicknames, yeah.
Yeah.
Just because I
Yeah.
mean, it's easier, right? And so like,
Yeah. Rolls off
especially
the
if you have
tongue.
like a very specific last name, I guess.
Or if there's like multiple people with the same first name, is the other thing that I notice sometimes.
Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
that's like it is awkward. Like when there's like literally where I work, there's like 5 people named Chris, and there's like no way
Let's
to
go.
just like there's no like distinction between any of
Some
them.
people go by their middle name, so there's that too.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. So it's like literally like a Chris per like, oh God, I can't speak. A Chris per department, basically. Um. And so you just have to like,
Oh my god.
yeah, I mean, they have to like specify. Sometimes people are just like, oh, some Chris, and it's like, well, fucking which Chris? Come on, like, Anyway, uh, there was a point where there were 3 Daniels in the store. Now there's only 2, and typically I'm not being called for anything. So
You're eliminating the one-on-one, so you can be the only one
I don't want,
left. I got you.
I don't need to be the only one. It's nice to like hear over the intercom like the name Daniel get called. I'm like, yeah, I don't have to fuck with that. That's definitely like the frozen Daniel.
Yeah.
God.
Not you. You're the thawed Daniel.
Yeah.
Daniel from Frozen.
Anyway, God, my dog's going off. I bet there's nothing out there too because I looked like 10 seconds ago.
But yeah, so to me, it's like probably just one of those things because I feel like I don't really see a lot of anime also call people by like their full name, like
No,
both the family and the given. Whereas you see that a decent amount in American culture.
it kind
Usually,
of
if
depends
someone's in
on who you're
trouble,
referring to, I guess. Right? Like, I mean,
well, yeah, but like I think of like parents, for example. If you make your parent mad, I know a lot of parents who will
like
whip out
you
the
come here
full
right now,
name.
John Smith. Like, yeah, I
Yeah,
got you.
exactly.
Yeah,
But like I feel
that's
like I don't
control.
see equivalents to that in anime at all, where it's like a
No,
moment where
no,
people
no.
would be calling him Son Goku and not just Goku.
No, I think that's just
I
like
mean,
an
you'll see
American
it
thing. Yeah.
sometimes.
Hmm.
Like I'm burned in my fucking brain at this point. Your Line April, everyone always called him Arima Kosei-kun. No, like no
That
matter
is
who it
true.
was, like that's the
Ooh.
only thing he ever got called. I'm like, okay. At what point do we just call him Kosei or Arima? I mean, they do that, but I'd say he's probably like the most I've ever seen like a full name get spoken in any single anime. Um, but yeah.
There's like other things also. Like a very obvious one is like senpai, right? That's like there's not really like an equivalent in English either, right? Like of that. Like I guess like upperclassmen,
I
but like nobody
mean,
says that. Like
yeah.
There are equivalents, but we don't use them in the same way. Is
so
how
they're
I
not
would
Yeah,
say
like
it.
equivalent.
you can like a senpai would be just like a
Well,
senior
yeah,
to
but like
you, but
they
you
have the
can't use
word.
it in
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
like you don't use it as an adjective basically.
right.
And so
Yeah,
there's
exactly.
no like proper descriptor to like translate that in the same way.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, there's nothing that. Yeah,
That's why
there's
you
just
Kind
like
of.
just
Yeah,
go
I
with
think
it.
of
words
like
terms.
we also call people like teacher, and that's like similar
That's like
in
sensei.
like
Yeah,
that
I guess. Like,
vein.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Do we really call like you would say like my teacher, I guess, but like
Yeah,
typically when you
yeah,
like
yeah.
are calling to
ooh, that's
them,
true.
like you
I
wouldn't
don't
say like
go up and be like
teacher. Yeah,
teacher.
it'd be like Mr. or Mrs.
Yeah,
And then like the
the one thing I
occasional
can
like
think of is like coach,
coach.
right?
Yeah, coach.
Coach is like the very common
I
one.
mean, fuck,
Coach is
they
the
use that shit in anime too. I mean, it's just universal.
Yeah, no, but coach is pretty common. I'm trying to think if there's anything like there's any other term that like does not. Oh, they like often refer to oh, I guess like doctor, right? Like we call like I don't know, do we call people doctors? I don't know. The thing I
Yes,
was
we
thinking of is
call
like
people call people
Yeah. The other thing I was thinking of is like sometimes they'll like go into like they will refer to the person when talking to that person by their like profession, like uh the person who's like owns like a bookstore or something like that. They'll refer to that as like bookstore person san or sama, or I don't know what the suffix is for that, but like that's like a thing that happens too as well. That it just doesn't really happen in English. Like you're not gonna go to a bakery and call someone like refer to them as baker, right? Like that seems kind of weird, right? So those things are like very hard to translate as well. So
Yeah, I feel like with doctors, they'll usually, uh, like, they usually get referred to as, like, sensei, I'm pretty sure. Um,
forget, maybe, yeah, you might be right.
a
What's
lot of people
that?
probably do in general. I guess it's like a choice, like, you could, like, call them Dr. Chan, I guess, I don't know, like, I don't know.
Mhm.
There's a lot of complexities to their language that obviously we don't understand, because we don't speak the language.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, alright. You know, I did something this week. I completed an
You did
anime.
something. Oh boy. What did you do?
I watched the rest of Love Live Sunshine Season 2.
Oh
Oh,
boy.
he did do that. Did you watch the movie or not yet?
I have not watched the movie yet.
Okay. It doesn't really change anything. I was just
Yeah,
curious.
that's what I was figuring as well. Like when I made my tier list for characters, I'm like, the
The Love
movie's
Live
not going to
movie
change
is
anything.
fun, but um, yeah, it's just fun. That's what I
I
would
mean, I
say.
was not expecting anything from the Love Live movie to begin with, so no need to worry about that.
There's like
Um,
some story to it, which is good, but also it's just like you're there for a another like fun time with the characters.
one last hurrah, and by that I mean one last hurrah until Yohane in Parhelion. But
Is there no
Johanne's hilarious because the characters in Johanne are not the same as they are in Sunshine.
yeah, I
Like
mean, it's going to be
I feel
like,
like they have completely different personalities.
I mean, which is I mean, it's just literally like like her delusion basically turned to real. Yeah, I don't know. Um, so it makes sense that it'd be like a different version of them in her head, or however the anime spins it.
so there's no season after that. It's just like the next class or whatever. I remember you explained this a
Yeah.
while back, but I just can't remember.
So he watched the original Love Live
Yeah.
And then
around
Sunshine.
Muse, and then he watched
Yeah, yeah,
Sunshine
yeah.
around Accords, which is
Yeah.
the spiritual successor.
Correct.
And then,
Now I think I'm just going off into uncharted territory, yeah, with Superstar.
well, yeah. So the next two are Nijigasaki, which is a very different take on the Love Live universe, and then
Oh right,
Superstar, which
yeah.
is more traditional format again.
Yeah, I'll probably
Yeah,
just
I
I'm doing
remember those
Superstar
things.
first. I don't. Did Nijisaki come out first, and then Superstar?
Nijigasaki did come out first.
All right, well, I'm breaking the mold here. We're starting
I
Superstar
mean, it's
first.
fine. Nijigasaki is like all the Love Lives are kind of slice of lifey, but Nijigasaki is like the slice of life of the Love Lives
I think
in
Love
the
Live's
sense that
probably
like
at its best with the slice of life stuff anyway. Like,
yeah. Well,
what
that's
what?
why Nijigasaki is so good because they don't even like they're not even in the Love Live competition in
Interesting.
Nijigasaki. They just have an idol club for funsies.
I see.
For fun.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
also think
I'll
some of the
give.
Nijigasaki characters are really well written. Probably has the worst character in all of Love Live. Also,
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
The worst character?
yes,
The
the
one
worst
that
Okay.
if
character
I
ever.
like choose as a like best girl for Nijigasaki, that we will be ending the podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
We need to one day get a list of all of our like podcast like
things that
end
could end,
conditions.
yeah, conditions,
Yeah,
just ultimatums.
because we have like
I feel like that
slowly
happens all
built
the
up.
time.
We've
I
slowly
could
built up
only
a
think
decent
of
amount
two
of
of them at
lists.
this current moment in time, and that's if Demon Slayer Training Arc wins Best Fantasy, which it won't. Crossing my fingers.
We still got a year. We still got a year.
And
Or
if
if I choose
Daniel's
Ayumu
favorite
as
Nijigasaki girl is
Nijisaki
Ayumi,
character,
yeah.
we'll see. I mean, you have like I've gone through half the Love Lives. You now have like a cohesive tier list to
It's
understand
interesting
how
because I can
dangerous
see
it
the
could be.
tier list. I can see the tier list, and looking at the tier list, I feel like I don't know
Yeah, like there's no
because
like consistency here.
what it feels
I
like
love
is she. When I look at this, it feels like she's gonna land at like a B. That's kind of my like initial reaction here, but I don't. As much as she pisses me off because of what she does, she's not like an annoying character. And I feel like all your really low ranking
Yeah, I think
characters are
being
ones that
annoying
are
is like
annoying.
far more like of a deadly thing. I can forgive sins against as like a character thing. I can't forgive it baked into their personality.
Yeah, exactly. And that's like I think her sin is a character flaw and not her being annoying.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, like if
but
you
I just couldn't see. I mean, put it this way: I could not see her being your favorite in all of the franchise, right?
yeah. But
But
could you see her
I
being the favorite
could
in
see her
Nijigasaki
being.
specifically?
I could, but I don't think she is like the betting favorite, if
Yeah.
that makes sense.
If I had to give my like my pre
Here, let me
I don't know.
post all the Nijigasaki girls
Dude, I
for
It's
love how there's
it's
C and then the awkward space
spatula.
between C and D and D. Is there
There is the
nobody
awkward
deserved an
space.
F? Nobody deserved an F?
well, I didn't feel
It's
like
like
making it enough.
those two characters actually make so much sense there because of who they are.
Yeah, like the awkward space between C and D is like like I didn't hate them enough to put them in D, but also like they don't deserve to be with the people in C either. Um, like I don't think Daya is a bad character. I just find her personality really annoying, and Boo Boo might actually make me like blow my brains out every time I
I
hear
think
it.
the problem is I really did not like Idaya in the first season,
I
and
think
then
all the first
so
years were awful in the first season. In complete
by the
honesty,
time she redeemed, I was kind of like, okay, but like I'm already done with you, right?
yeah, I
But
think all
as a
the first
character, I
years
think she went well.
like Love Live has a lot of like melodramatic shit, but the first season of Sunshine was like really indicative of that. Like like the situation with the third years was like so like Love Live drama, and it hurt those characters as a result. And then Honoka in C and D, I didn't find her annoying enough to put in D, but she's kind of an asshole. Like
Yes,
she is a
definitively.
massive asshole. Like if you go back with like season one, like she gets mad at Kotori for like wanting to leave and go doing like what piano overseas or whatever the fuck.
Yep.
And then she's like, "No, you have to win Love Live." Even I think by that point had they already saved the school? I think they had. I can't
I
remember
think they
though.
had, yeah.
So
I think
like
it was the school was good, but they still had finals, right? Like the
I don't
school
know if they
was
made it to. Did they make it to
good, but
finals? I can't remember.
the
They saved the school anyway. I
it
think
was
by
like
that
that
point.
type. Yeah, it was that type of setup where it was like the school was saved, but they had the unfinished business in quotation marks of
Yeah, and so
winning
by
the
that
whole
point,
thing.
like your main goal is achieved, and it's like the worst part is in the end they decide to like disband as a group and not even continue like past high school or anything. And so what did you slap her for? To like, well, for
To
what purpose?
have
To
this one
you
moment.
guilted her to like stay, and so you can win Love Live finals, but it's like you just like derailed her future, and for what? like, like they had the offer on the table to like continue
Hmm.
after Love Live and it after school, and it's like you just like nobody decided to like take that up, even though like they went through all this drama despite them not really like they their goal was accomplished. Like, they need to do anything. Speaking of
Hmm.
that, I guess spoilers for Sunshine. Not that I don't think anyone cares about Love Live spoilers in here, but I respect that they failed to save the school because I've been saying the
Yes,
entire time
this is
there's not
th-
a chance in hell that they save the school.
this is one of the things that Mars and I both really like
Yeah, like
about Sunshine is
they
the
live in the middle of
failure.
bumfuck nowhere. there was no way they were ever gonna get 100 people to like apply for their school, and they didn't. So it's like they probably made it more dramatic towards the end than they needed to. They're like literally from the course of like 12 a.m. to 5 a.m. they were getting applicants. I'm like, no, you're fucking not. No one's up at like
No,
12 a.m.
you
applying for high
absolutely
school.
are not.
Yeah, like that's just not happening.
um, yes, I think Sunshine being kind of the foil to the original is probably what makes me like it so much, because it's just a different take, more or less. But it's also still realistic enough. It's like, okay, I could see this being like how I would think this should go realistically, and not like you said, suddenly everyone wants to go live in bumfuck nowhere.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even simply like I'm sure like the transport to get there would be so unbelievably annoying. Um, and so yeah, I'm like, there's just no way, because that's what I said with like, it's a very like outlandish premise to begin with that this like Love Live shit is popular enough to change the trajectory of like an entire organization closing.
Yeah,
But at least in the original, they were like in the city, and so it's like, yeah, I could see people like transferring to the school because they thought the idol group was cool or whatever.
yeah.
Um,
Well,
but
it is also like A-Rise and Muse are what made it so crazy, right? Like that generation kind of like that's part of the themes of Sunshine is too, is that like era, the kind of like first generation of the Love Live is what made it so popular that it could have that effect, but at the same time, no.
yeah, and so, um, I do find it funny that like they literally could have waited probably like a day and saved the school, but I guess I don't know, the whole extension drama is kind of dumb because I think most business leaders would probably be like, oh, we can just like wait a minute, hold on, like literally
Yeah, like, oh,
another
we're on
hour
like an upward
extension.
trend.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, they're with this group doing what they did, and if they would have won Love Live, they could have definitely saved it, but they just ran out of time. But I do respect them not being able to to save it. I
To
mean,
do it, yeah. Because otherwise, you would have been watching the exact same show,
it'd been the same show
pretty
with like
much.
a more enjoyable cast,
Yeah.
and better like honestly, the music for Sunshine
OG
season one, I
music's
didn't
kind of
really
mid.
care. OG music sucks except for Snowhlation, and then Sunshine's music, I didn't really care for season one's, but I thought season two had some bangers in there, and
So I
so
think I think you're gonna notice a huge improvement in music quality, regardless of whether you go to Nijigasaki or Superstar. I think Superstar might have the best music in the series, but I think both of them just have way better music.
yeah, I mean, it doesn't surprise me. Just as you the series would go
They're
on,
just newer,
obviously.
yeah. Now it's got like some money behind it. So Spatula, I posted the picture of all
Yeah, I
the
saw it.
first season of Nijigasaki Girls. So just so you know whose fate we're riding on, it's this little in the center with the like pinkish red hair and the little bun there.
Yeah.
That's the one.
Oh, okay,
If
okay, okay.
that's Daniel's favorite, it's
Wait,
over.
what's the name of the girl in your tier list? The D tier, the second girl. What's the name?
Nico.
Nico.
Yeah.
Dude, I know like three people with who had her as a
Yes.
profile picture in Discord, and they're all like unhinged. So
Sh-
you know.
She
Yes. That's
she
that's
is she
that's
is
exactly how you describe it.
you're either gonna have her in like your top tier or you're gonna hate her, and I just I maybe like at like in the later points of the series tolerated her more, but I don't know. She's definitely, she could land in the awkward space between C and D if I really wanted to, but I'm also like, do I really don't like Yohane that much more than her? Um, and it's like, man, like I don't hate Yohane's personality, I just hate Chunibyo, and I think it got very, I
Yeah.
don't know. She had one bit, even like outside of her Chuni or whatever. Like people are like, her actual name is Yoshiko, and that's what everyone would call her. No one would call her Yohane. And so her bit is like anytime anyone called her Yoshiko, she would say it's Yohane, like, you know, correct them or whatever. But when, you know, she's getting talked to multiple times in an episode, it's like, okay, it's been, you've said Yohane like 10 times this episode. Let's chill, you know.
Mhm.
The
So I
bits,
think
Yeah.
based on your tier list, I probably could predict where most of these girls are. I'm thinking about it now. And I'm like, I could probably get pretty close to like a lot of these. Because I'm looking at the Nijigasaki group, I'm looking at your tier list, and I'm like, okay, so Kasami's probably going to be your least favorite. Just to off the bat, I think Kasami will be your least favorite. I think your favorite is kind of tough. You might just be another Setsuna fan.
I wouldn't be
Ayumu's
just based on design. I wouldn't be surprised to see Yu in the top if we're just
yeah,
early horse betting.
yeah. Like looking at it, I'm like you. So you, I think Yu's interesting. So Yu is
She's not
not a
actually an yeah.
character.
She's like the
Yeah,
manager or whatever.
Yu is essentially the stand-in for what would have been the game character, but also Yu is written phenomenally. So I think Yu is a like very likely also a candidate, but it's kind of weird to compare her to all the idol girls. I think you like characters similar to Rina, is the one all the way to the right, but I
Yeah.
don't know if you'll like Rina, is how I would put it. And you probably won't like Karen very much. You'll probably be the two on the left that you'll probably have kind of like in the middle of the pack. Ai's kind of a toss up, the blonde. You might like Ai,
I know
or you might hate
that's
Ai.
Lugia's goat, yeah.
That's Lugia's goat. I think most likely Ai will probably be like a contender for like a high spot, but not your top spot. My thought is the ones I could see being your top are the two on the right or you. And we won't speak about Ayumu.
We'll
There's a
see.
world still.
There's a
I'm
world.
also I also like completely
Superstar is
forgot.
much harder, but I think Superstar your favorite's gonna be girl in the bottom right or Canon in the middle. Chisato or Canon.
I also forgot that Nico. Now the name like actually clicked because she's like the Nico Ni. Like I
She
don't
is
know
the
why that
Nico
didn't
Nico
click.
Ni.
It just like did not click at all. But like now it makes sense. I was like, dude, I'd seen her, but like,
If there's anything
yeah.
good to come out of that, it is that break your Nico kneecaps is very funny. And
That is true. I
is
am
the Superstar
surprised
cast
when
not bigger than that?
so these are the
I'm gonna
season
assume
one
it
casts I've
grows.
posted. There are more superstar girls. I just don't think they're super noteworthy personally.
I see.
They're okay. But like all of season one, it's gonna be just these five. And you'll get the additions in season two. And I don't think any of the additions are particularly bad, except for one. But I
I
also
see.
don't know if they're gonna be moving anything for you too. Here, let me post the because there's also more Nijisaki girls too. 1 second. I'll grab the full
And then they're
Nijisaki
gonna do
picture
season
as
3
well.
of Superstar, and then they're gonna
Holy,
do the 3 movies for Niji, and then they're gonna have a new Love Live. Then we'll just
Wow.
literally
keep going forever.
9 girls with 9 unique hair colors is crazy. I mean, it's not that crazy, but it's like I don't know. It's just interesting.
It's just a lot.
It is a lot.
Can't find a good. There's like a fan art picture I found with all of the Nijisaki girls, but I can't find just like a good picture with them all. Whatever, I'll post the fan one. You'll get the idea.
I mean, I can probably tell who's who, I would assume.
I mean, it's only 3 more girls, but the cast was already at 9, 10. Now we're up to 13.
13's a little wild. A wee bit wild.
Those 3 at the top left of this picture.
I see.
Those are the season 2 ones.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Um, yeah, I don't know what like my draw is like towards any of these technical characters other than like vibes.
Well, that's like when I look at your list too, it's kind of vibes, but it's also like
it's like a mix of
interesting.
character and vibes.
Yeah,
Um,
because like there are ones that make total sense, but like if you had asked me before you watched if you was gonna be your favorite character, I'd probably be like, no, he'll probably just think she's mid.
when you say you, do you mean yo or do you mean like you in
Or
the?
yeah, yo,
Yeah.
Yeah.
not
The first thing
Nijisaki.
I saw
Yo
with
from
tier maker, I was like, you. Oh, I'm an S tier. I'm an S tier.
my
now. It's yo.
brain literally saw yo, but written as you there.
Yeah, yeah.
Totally
Yeah, I
didn't
mean
even
that is
think.
how it's like yo,
No, no,
and
no,
Yeah.
like
you're right.
the ooh is like the, I guess, more silent in Japanese, I guess, because they say it in a way that almost gets rid of it entirely. But
Yeah.
yeah,
But it's like I probably wouldn't have expected her to be your favorite through the first 2 series, but I'm not surprised about it per se. Because
she's
then I
just
look at like your A tier, and it's like, okay, well, the first two I would have expected for sure. Hanamaru, I'm not surprised by. Ruby makes sense because Ruby is the one who gets a lot of writing.
yeah, she's a good character. Um,
Rin's funny.
yeah, I mean Rin is just like Hanamaru. I guess
That's like vibes, right?
well
Yeah.
she's vibes plus like well written, I'd say.
Uh,
I just, like Hanamaru's like introduction as well, I think was interesting, and like how it tied back with the original, where like, you know, she's like looking through the magazine at Rin, and I
mhm.
guess as like an inspiration for like she doesn't think she's girlish enough to actually like do this idol thing, um, and so like having that
And
bit of
there's like,
inspiration, like
yeah,
rather than just like, oh my god, you know, Muse is so cool, it's like she looks up to someone like more niche and specific in the group, and I think that was cool.
yeah, that is true.
But yeah, I could see a world where like Conan was higher, but like all the third years like pissed me off in the first season. So
I think that as because Kanon is my favorite from Sunshine, and as a Kanon fan, that's totally understandable. I rewatched most of season one, all of season one. I rewatched good chunk of season one with Resh, and still love Kanon, but she is a bit of a bitch for the entire season one.
season one was just rough for like drama.
Yeah,
Like
I I'm rewatching it. And I'm like, okay, well I know what like she becomes, but also, damn, I didn't know that she was like this for this long.
yeah, all the third years are like really big assholes for the first season, and so it's like it's up to season two for the redemption, and it's like I liked her personality the most out of all of the like the third years. Daya
I'm
was
kind of
redeemed as a character, but still annoying, and then Mari
yeah.
I was like always in the middle kind of, and then I don't know, her quirk of like the English type of thing. I don't know, didn't do it for me.
That's valid. I'm kind of surprised you have Ellie so though. That's probably the
Um,
one that I'm most
I have like
surprised
no
by.
opinion
But
of her, and so that's why she landed in C.
valid.
Like
Ellie's
she,
my favorite from OG, but I think that's purely a typecast.
yeah, it's like
Because I think
the Bond moment.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I
because
don't
I
think she's
think
like a
when
bad
I
character or
was
anything.
yeah, when I was watching it, I remember for the longest time it was between Ellie and Umi. Those were the two that I liked a lot in OG. And in the end, I picked Ellie, and it probably was just for typecast purposes.
Yeah.
I should redo my Love Live tier list one of these days.
You could do one
Maybe
with
after you.
combined everything, all the series.
Well, yeah, I can hit all of them.
Yeah, that's what I'm working towards. Like, this is a combination of all the two I've watched.
This is step one.
It's just step two, actually. Step two
Oh,
of
oh
four.
yeah. Okay, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and so whenever I finish
Cause
Superstar,
like
obviously I'll update it, and so on and so forth.
yeah, cause like I could make my my version of this pretty easily. Even with just these two, I could make that pretty easily. Why is this?
That's so funny.
Yeah, I can use this
Like,
figure. That's fine.
how many if you combine all the Love Live shows, like how many total girls would be in the tier list? I'm actually curious.
It's 9 in the
Let's
first
see.
2 seasons.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
9, then 13, then 9.
Okay,
That's not
so
even counting.
40. Yeah, 40.
Yeah, that's not even counting like rival characters and like
Yeah, I didn't put the
because
rival ones on here. I liked, I think Saint Snow is like well characterized, but I don't think they were like that impactful of like a rival group.
Right.
Sarah is one of my favorites in the series, but I think that's a valid thing to say.
Yeah. And we also got to like hear no music, no music from fucking Saint Snow. I feel like maybe
You'll get it in the movie. You'll get another song
okay.
in the movie.
So we got like what 2 Saint Snow songs in existence? Like they were about to
They're
play one in
bangers.
one of the episode, and then it just Like it started to bang and then they cut away from it. I'm like, what?
Yeah. You're like, son of a bitch.
And I mean, that's because of the drama that came afterward with it. Because they like tripped over each other at the very very start and then they didn't actually sing, and so I get it. I would have liked to actually have heard them perform more, and I feel like that would have made the rivalry more impactful. Um, yeah, but I mean, I think they were like better characterized than Arise probably. Um,
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Rise was just kind of characterized as like the group to beat.
Yeah,
Like,
they
right?
were
Like that
like
was kind
the
of
I don't know, like they're like the Creed to Rocky Balboa or whatever the fuck. I don't know. Um,
Is it interesting though?
I'm just trying to think of like rivalries. Like fuck, dude. Like I don't know. They were like the I don't know, like the Golden State Warriors, and then like the Cavaliers LeBron when they came back
Let's
from
go. Hey,
3-1.
you said
What
David
was
versus
the
Goliath. I
let's
mean,
go.
okay, yeah.
yeah? So I guess it's like how that felt. I guess in the OG. Which I mean, I can respect that they used the one actually good song to beat Arise, and it speaks a lot to the competition that their dog shit ass opening song is what won them Love Live in the first season. I don't know. I really just don't care for the music in the original. It's unfortunate, but um, I think
All right,
yeah, it's no relation. Who could have guessed? It's like it's the
here's
one
my
everyone loves.
version of just the first 2 seasons for you. Except you'll notice one character on there that's not from just the first 2 seasons, but
Let me see this.
had to make sure I
Oh, okay.
dialed it dialed it home.
See, you have an F.
I do have an F.
skipped this.
He has an F. I have the awkward space between C and D. So
Yeah.
Yeah, you can reimagine these as that if you want.
I like the F.
I mean, okay, I guess like the only thing I question is like, what is Daya really worse than both Yohane and Nico in your heart of hearts?
See,
Truly,
the problem is, I like dislike Adaya, right? Whereas so Nico is a good argument, but I think Yohane for me is just like not my type of character. But like I don't mind her in like the same way, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't like Nico, but it's been a while, so I might be underselling how badly she should be in the same tier as those other two. But like I specifically dislike those two at the bottom.
I see. I'm guessing the one at the far right of A is the one who
That's
should not be around.
no. The one who's not who.
Oh, that's not Mario. Where the
In
fuck
F.
is the?
It's an F.
Oh
I
yeah,
use
right. I
down
was just
there
not thinking. Brain shut off. My dog
Wait,
started
why
barking.
should she not be around? What's
Well,
the?
he did the
'cause she's
first two
not
seasons.
from.
She's not from these
Yeah,
first
Oh,
two.
sure. Yeah. Okay.
I
He's
just
trying
put
to
her
like
there out of principle.
subliminally tell me that she's not allowed anywhere near my top tier.
Holy.
It's gonna be interesting. We're like slowly. I've been building up to it for a while, but now I'm actually like going through these.
It is gonna be quite interesting because I can't see. I don't know. It'll be interesting. That we'll put it that way.
I'm gonna give like no thoughts on Nijigasaki whatsoever when I start watching it until it's completed, and
But
then I'm gonna
he's
bring it
just
into
gonna
here.
finish. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm just like not gonna mark it as complete. I'm gonna complete it, not tell anyone, and be like, all right, here we
and
go.
then
Now it's time.
come here with your new tier maker. I think that's hilarious, honestly.
Like reveal it
Uh,
tier by tier. Like it'd be so funny if she was like in one of like like a B for example, and so just like as you
and
see like
you're
D,
going
the
up,
awkward
and I'm
space
like,
between C and D, and you're like where is she? Where is she?
yeah, I'm just like, where's she gonna pop up?
Yeah. We'll see. I think Love Live is like an awkward school. It's not like it's not not
No, you
there are
could say it's
times where
not well written.
I think the plot is
It
dog shit in Love Live, but I think the
yeah,
characters are the way they get to it is usually kind of
yes,
over dramatic, but I think they have like they got the spirit. I guess is like the way to put it.
That's what matters.
I
Yeah,
would
but
agree. There's a lot of melodrama, and it's like the overarching. That's why Nijigasaki's fun because they were just like, all right, well, we don't need the overarching plot line, right? We'll just have fun with the characters.
yeah. I don't know. Wait, I think the second season I mean, first season of Sunshine was extremely melodramatic because once again, the 30 years and all their drama there. And then they had to like go through all the drama of recruiting everyone to begin with. And so the second season definitely got a lot more breathing room to just like let the characters exist and like go through the plot and change the characters. When I say changes characters, I don't know if anyone like particularly made that much of an impactful change on themselves besides maybe like Ruby towards the end. I guess like I don't know. It was very like different. It's interesting. Like they were all going their separate ways, and they failed to save their school. But I feel like they were crying infinitely less than uh, like the end of the original, for example. It was a more mature approach to its storytelling, and I appreciated that. And I don't know if maybe it's like me just like now recognizing it and trying to like find things to like more about it. But all the like the animation for Love Live is nothing to like particularly write home about, but I feel like it's really expressive with its characters. Like, um, just the way that they move about, and then like there's always like generally something going on in the background, whether it's other characters talking or doing shit. I can respect that. It's like it is not my type of show. Like on a well, just on some levels, like the writing, like peculiarities of it, and I'm not like super into idol music, and so and it did a good job making me like this season, and we will see how that can. I feel like someone said Superstar has like the best like storyline to it, even though it's like the same as all the others. I don't know.
I would agree, but I also it is kind of just like all the others too. I don't know. I think how would I put it? I think the superstar characters are just really well written in a way that feels like refined from the other two.
So they do a better job like selling the same story.
Yeah. Like I think the orange-haired girl that you see in the promo canon is potentially one of the best written characters in the whole series.
I see.
And I say that as if I don't have her ranked as like a high B, low A character if I go do the tier list. But still, it's just like it's interesting because this part where it branches is kind of fun because it's essentially just like what I would consider Superstar, the really good version of what we've already seen, and then Nijigasaki, which is totally different, more fun take.
Yeah.
Sorry to share this tweet here. I just
Thank you
saw it
for
while I
the
was
the
scrolling.
Ubel armpit picture, PK.
Well, no. If you click the
Oh,
tweet,
this I've seen
if
this
you
everywhere.
click the tweet, you'll understand what it's
Well,
saying.
there is
Don't
feet.
Okay.
Yeah.
do
Okay.
not try to expose me as if you did not have the armpit in your PFP last week.
Look, it was.
Oh my god.
Look, it's complicated. I had a
It just
different
made
one.
me laugh. Tweet says free for giving food to the two hungriest fan base
Yeah.
has an armpit pic and a foot pic.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I actually had it's my he's like by and far my most liked tweet. It has to do with like Brandon made a tweet about Saria, the blonde elf character there.
Do I haven't yet?
Kind of tweet.
I'll watch the rest soon.
I mean,
Maybe
he
tonight.
was just talking about like the character and like how he like likes their design or whatever, and it's like
Uh-huh.
it's like oddly attractive despite not being like very typical.
Right.
Fuck, where do I have it? I gotta find it.
Okay.
Should just be in my replies.
I'm excited for the payoff of this.
So this masterpiece right here. I mean, read his tweet first, I guess, and then go
Fuck.
read mine.
Dude, nice 372. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. I
Yeah,
would low-key find Siri okay, whatever.
he's like
This is
trying to
insane.
like
Why do I low-key find her attractive?
he's like trying to like is the maturity, her behavior. I'm like, yeah, it's her feet, ain't it?
Well, there's another guy who said it's the thighs, isn't it? And he said maybe, so we're exposing him here.
Yeah, I think I set like a ball rolling because I said the feet, and then a bunch of other people said, "Yeah, it's the feet, isn't it?" I'm like, yeah, my bad. Yeah.
Yeah, I know nothing about this character still. It'll happen.
How far behind are you?
I am like literally right before this arc.
I see.
And then at some point I kept hearing the arc was really good. Holy shit, I'm 11 episodes behind? Okay, I didn't know it was that much.
Yikes.
Um like I'm hearing the arc was really good, and at some point I was so far behind I was like, I'll just save it for a good old bingey.
Yeah, like forget the
And
start of the
now
arc. I think you're at the start of the half, like the core.
I think I watched one episode of the new opening, perhaps. It also depends on if I've been marking my episodes correctly or if I watched a few without marking it.
Yeah,
But I
I'll
might
be.
never know because someone else has been watching on my Crunchyroll too.
Ooh.
So I might be on whatever episode they're on if I go and look at my history.
I see. Yeah, it's interesting. Freerun has it's like still very much at the top of Mal, and then honestly, once it finishes, like it's at a 90% right now on any list. Like once it finishes and other people start putting their scores in, like it very well could jump to the top of any list as well. Which I don't think it's like the best anime of all time, but I mean it's pretty fucking good.
All of this to lose Best Fantasy to Demon Slayer Training Arc.
There's no way. This shit has a 9.17 on Mal. That like it has literally only gone up ever since passing Full Metal Alchemist, which is insane. Like this is a
This
never
is
before seen phenomenon.
I agree. I think it's very good. Like you said, I don't know if it's the best thing I've ever watched,
I
but
would not put it
also
there, but it
I
is like
really enjoy watching it. Like
yes, this shit slaps.
when
Like
when I am
very much.
when I'm scoring it, it's definitely going to be something I'm looking at, and I'm looking at some of my top anime, like Assassination Classroom, and Your Lie in April, and where I have them ranked, and being like, is Freeman there, or is Freeman a little lower for me?
Yeah, it'll be high up for me as well.
Because for me, once I get to those high ranks, like that top, like I would say above like 90, any of those, like I actually do kind of think about where the shows are.
Yeah, it's interesting because like a lot of people are probably gonna like call it overrated, I guess, because it's so highly put on all these
I
whatever's.
think
But I think
anything
it just
that's
does a
rated
really good
well,
job
yeah.
at like not being disliked, and so it doesn't like suffer some of the same issues as other. And it's also like in that nice spot where it's like pretty popular, but also not like so popular that people hate it for like the Demon Slayer, for example. Like I'm sure a lot of Demon Slayer's ratings get weighed down heavily by people who dislike it, even though there's a lot of people who do like it. And so when you have something like Freerun, where it's like it doesn't have like it's not like that much into mainstream popularity. Like if you look at the Mal popularity, it's number 370. Um, but it's ranked number one because I mean no one's gonna like um probably rate it low. And if they do, it's like not gonna be low. Like no one's gonna give it a one, right? Like you'd be stupid to give Freerun a one.
Yeah.
Uh, actually makes me interested. Yeah, like I
In
mean,
terms of actually being serious too.
yeah, like it has a 1.7% 1 star count on Mel. If I go to something like I don't know, let's look at Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood's 1 star statisticals here. It's at 2.4. So I mean, it's like
Mal Mal Raiders are crazy.
yeah, it's like another 0.7% increase, which like considering like the sheer amount of people who have watched Brotherhood, like it's pretty high up there.
To me,
Um,
what's telling is when a show has more 1-star ratings than like we're going on a 10-point scale, right? Where they have
yeah.
like more 1 ratings than 2s or 3s, substantially more. Because to
Then
me,
then it
that's
has to be
when.
truly garbage.
Well,
Well,
no, no, no.
no.
To me,
Oh,
that's
it's the
when it's like
opposite. It's-
that's when it's getting rating bombed.
Oh, okay,
Usually,
sure, sure,
right?
sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like I look at
Well,
free
I
run
mean, yeah,
and the score distribution, it has like 155 ratings, 10 or below, but then 20 it has 40.
yeah. I think,
And so to me, that's like not quite rating bomb level, but it's still like, okay,
yeah, I
well,
guess
a
it's
lot of
fair.
those ones probably are.
Oh, for sure. For like the extremely
Or
popular
just
ones, for
people
sure.
who watched
Yeah,
episode
yeah, yeah.
1 and were like, yeah, it's pretty boring and dropped it.
Yeah, like, I think you'll find most shows, like, like you said, it needs to be like a significant like difference in between like 1 and 2 and 3, because like some of them, like I think 1 is always going to be higher than say 2 or 3 for most shows,
Mhm.
just because people are dumb and like I don't know, just slap. I mean, I'm stupid too. I rate it for my manga list specifically. I either rate it nothing, a 10, or a 1, and there's no in between.
Now, when a show is really bad, I would say all of those numbers are fairly close, right? So, like, if I look at Full Metal Alchemist, almost 2,000 10s or belows, but only 250 20s, that's a lot of rating bombs. But if I go to something really bad, which I don't know immediately what would be something definitively bad and not
Like
just,
X Arm or something.
yeah, that's a good one. Oh, X-Arm is too bad because it has a backwards curve. That makes sense.
That's honestly so funny.
Right. I forgot that if it's too bad, it's gonna have the most ratings at the one end of the scale, and then it does not quite apply.
Okay, redo of Healer.
Oh no.
I feel like it has to be like in the middle somewhere because
I
people
can
are
see
weird.
redo of healer being surprisingly.
Instead of
Oh
six
right,
point
it's not
three
gonna
four.
show up
All
on
right
my
then.
search until yeah 6.4. But then it like has this distribution. Even this is like
Okay,
4.5k 10s versus 2.5k 20s, but that's not even a factor of 2, right? So to me, it's like, okay, that feels pretty statistically sound to be like, these 10s are legitimate and not just outliers.
You got a
Because to me, when
statistician in
it's
call right now. I could do some number crunching for you, but I don't know.
to me, it's the idea of like if your curve is doubling or tripling at the very end, then it's a lot of like
Curve, huh?
extra ratings being pumped in.
Yeah.
it's so weird.
Yeah.
Like who looks at this and like there are people who definitely like the 10 out of 10 score is like high enough in percentage that there are definitely people who unironically put it as a 10. And I'm like, where did this come from for you? Like,
I follow. I apparently follow someone who has it as a 10. Let
Oh,
me
so
look at
these are your
my
people, huh?
friends real quick.
So these are
Absolutely
your people.
not. Do not put these words
Dude, I
on
love
me.
I love calling other people their people. It's so funny. But
I also don't
so you don't
remember who
claim
this
them.
person is because I think they changed their name.
Oh, how convenient. They changed their name,
Okay,
huh? Just as we expose them for,
Bomi
giving
would
them.
give it a
some of
7.5, wouldn't he? It's crazy.
who?
Bomi.
Bomi. Okay, listen. Bomi is an enigma.
Yeah.
I don't. If you look at Bomi's ratings, they make no sense because sometimes Bomi has fantastic taste, and other times you see stuff like Redo of Healer 7.5, and when you ask Bomi about it, you're just like, yeah, I didn't really take it that serious.
You see the
Kind of like it was okay.
bottom of his list has to be a fucking whirlwind.
I don't think he rates a lot of stuff super low, if I
He
remember right.
doesn't like it
Also,
scales pretty like dramatically.
there are so many 7s and 7.5s and 8s.
Like would you truly in your heart say like something like fucking I want to eat your pancreas is a 5 and then fucking what's it called?
Yeah,
Redo of
that's
Healers
that's
is
And then
slander,
Redo
bro.
of
7.5. That's
Healers.
like I don't know, some like insane I don't know. He has Review Starlight at a 5 and then fucking Redo of Healer at 7.5. This is like
Dude, that's
this is
unhinged.
unholy ratings. Anyway,
Yeah,
I'm not gonna turn this into a roast Bomi session, but
it's hard to pinpoint Bomi's ratings. Was my point. Is sometimes they feel almost like dartboard ratings.
yeah, I mean, yeah,
That's like
there
the
are numbers
nicest
for
way I can
sure.
put it. Yeah.
Um, yeah, there's a lot of things in the 7.5 the range that I'm like, there's no way that you're saying Redo of Healer is on the same level as some of these in terms of anything. I don't know.
We can call him out just for fun.
And you let the horny take over and let he was
Redo Healer 7.5 is just crazy. I don't know, bro.
This definitely should have been. It should have been hentai for sure. But anyway, yeah. From Love Live to Redo, what a fucking transition. Anyway,
Yeah.
We started with Dragon Ball 2, which is also fun
Well,
to
yeah.
like think about the journey.
yeah. At least it wasn't like a straight segue. At least like
Yeah,
from
it was a separate thing. But
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
to get
good,
into
though.
Love Live after Dragon Ball
You know,
led
that's
to like the honorific conversation and stuff
Mhm.
like that, and then eventually turned into Love Live, which eventually turned into Free Rin.
Love Live's peak.
I don't
So it
remember
makes
how
sense.
did Love Live turn into Free Rin. Like I don't think we
Problem is,
changed gears or anything. I think we segued into it somehow.
no idea.
I don't know. But PK posted that tweet. It was all
I
downhill from
posted
there.
the
It was
random
downhill
tweet.
from there.
You're right.
Oh
I
yeah,
just
yeah,
posted a tweet
yeah.
totally off
It was
topic.
a change gear. Yeah.
Um, what was I gonna say? Once Daniel finishes the Love Lives, there's like a whole world of other like idol-based or music-based shows
Let me
that I
look at
know Kiki
my
and I are like, I want
what's
him
it
to watch
called
these.
on here. I
But
have the list.
the one I fear is Daniel watching season 1 of Bandori.
Is
Because
like bad or like
Now what the
what's
fuck? I like cut most of
I
the list. Oh, that's weird.
I love Bandori, but season 1 of Bandori is very bad,
unfortunate?
and that's like the nice way I can put it.
Oh, okay. That's it's
Okay.
not a good
But I
sign.
think the later seasons are good, and I think Bandori's music is phenomenal.
Yeah,
But season 1 doesn't
after
even have very many like good songs either.
I feel like after Love Live, I have to return to Monogatari.
I would agree.
I got lost in the plot has been lost. It was initially supposed to be a Monogatari and a Love Live interchanging every time I watched one, but now we're just like, okay, we're just gonna like erase.
Okay,
Look at
go
Bomi's
look.
explanation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at Bomi's explanation. That's
That's about what I expected for a redo of Healer 7.5 Raider.
you know what? Fair enough.
At
Kind of
least he's
not,
honest.
but fair enough. Yeah, at least he'll say it how it is. Um, yeah, it's I think the payoff of Bandori for me has been really good, but I think season 1, almost everyone agrees, was a rough time.
Yeah, like if I look at like the original list here, um Zombieland was in there somewhere, but I don't know if I'll watch that next or not. Maybe
I
some.
still haven't even watched
I feel like
Zombieland.
that's one of
So
those
the
things
problem,
I wouldn't put in like the same level of like Universal, whatever the fuck. Oh, Idly Pride. I forgot that was on there too. I'll probably watch that after.
Highly Pride's phenomenal, and it's like a one like 12 episode thing that you can just watch and experience
Yeah,
and not be signed up for like a universe.
yeah. I downloaded
A
the game for
universe.
like 10 minutes, and I know everything about Idly Pride.
I would say Zombieland Saga is like similar tier as like Bandori. The problem is the first concert of Zombieland Saga I remember having some of the worst CGI I've ever
Isn't it supposed to be
experienced.
like really good in season 2 though, or something like that?
Yes, I like payoff wise I should go back to it. I just remember seeing the CGI at the very beginning, and this was like I think I watched this before the Bandoris too. And so it was like when I was there, I was just like, yeah, no, I can't do this. And so I didn't. And then later I watched some other stuff that are kind of odd. I think you're getting called out, by the way, Daniel.
How so? Oh, there's
Go
only
look
one
at me.
wrong score here. Yeah, okay. It's because he's comparing it to his people.
Comparing it to his people. Yep, that's true.
The other
It is
7.5
a little
raters.
funny. Shout out Fami for dropping it though.
I'm surprised he watched 4 episodes of it. Like,
I'm really surprised.
this is
With the
something I
stuff
felt
that
like he would have
we
dropped
can't get
episode
Fami to
1 and then
watch,
especially
yeah.
episode 2. Like, I'm honestly insulted actually that like he refuses to watch like 100 Girlfriends just because it has girlfriend in the title, but he will watch redo of Healer. Like, truly he knew going into it, especially after episode 2. I feel like that's
I
what
will
most
laugh,
people dropped it.
Daniel, when you when you watch Bandori eventually, and you're gonna want your favorite character to be Arisa because she looks like Kohane. And
I feel like
I just think it's not gonna work out for you.
that's where some
It
of like
could.
the Yo affection came as well. She's got drip. Like she's the drippiest character in Love Live
Yeah,
so
she
far.
does have drip. That's like her. That's her character is
Yeah,
drip.
she
Also,
likes drip. Yeah, I mean, I guess she's like more infatuated with like uniforms or whatever. 'Cause she's like from I don't know, like a boat family sailing. Actually, you know what? This is like one criticism I have of Love Live. They set up like fucking Chekhov's swimming club. She was a part of this club.
she was a part of the
They
swimming
didn't
club. All
actually
right.
use it. It's like a red herring. Like the moment she's like, yeah, sometimes I might not be able to like make it to practice for swim or whatever, but that just like is never a conflict ever. It is like a complete. I fully expected that to be like the moment she said that. I'm like, yeah, you know what? This is going to be a plot point at some era of this like series. Is she's gonna have swim club
You
during like
kept thinking swim
some
club
love?
was gonna
Yeah,
interfere.
I'm like swim club's gonna come into like it's gonna have a problem to cause at some point. But that just never happened. I don't think she was actually in the swim club. She was lying for sure. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I would agree. I think I also had the same thoughts where it's like, oh, they're setting up the club, interfering.
Yeah, it's definitely not
That's
something
funny.
I very much expected it to be a part. Well, I think I'm probably more glad that it wasn't, but um, even though I think I started this with like I wanted it to, I think it would have made sense as opposed to like I'm surprised we had an episode where like fucking they get over their fear of dogs instead, or well, not one the Yo didn't have that, but you know, an episode
Yeah,
where
yeah, yeah.
someone gets over their fear of dogs, and except for like that's like one of those episodes where you would expect in original Love Live, there definitely would have been swim club drama. They would have taken advantage of that for
Oh,
sure.
they would have 100% had swim club drama.
Yeah, they were fighting over everything in the original. Actually,
They were they were kind of little demons.
they were very
You really think about it. Did Muse even like each other?
they are. I don't know. I don't know what they fucking did. They surely fought a lot.
Yeah, just being honest here.
Like I don't know. I mean, yeah. I mean, they liked each other. Like fucking.
Obviously,
I think
but
back to it. Honoka was probably like the biggest like source of drama in that entire thing. Other
yes.
than not even other than no, she just was. She was a drama causer. Um, I don't know. I don't like how her character is written particularly. Um, I think very much so by the end of everything, she's probably going to be like the lowest rated like leader character. Um,
I would agree because I think. Well, so Nijigasaki debatably kind of doesn't have a leader character. I guess you is probably the
whoever's like
closest.
spearheaded the start of the club, it would technically be like the leader, I guess.
Well, so in that regard,
I feel like typically like Ayumu is
it's
like
like,
depicted as the
yeah, I
leader,
was
but
gonna say in that regard, people would say Ayumu, but I don't. It just doesn't feel the same. When you watch, you'll get it. Like I understand the people who would put Ayumu in the same like leader position as like Honoka or Kanon, but also um no, she just doesn't do that. Like even if you would argue she should be there because of the club, um, like her essentially being part of starting the club, I'm like I would say you does more to start the club than Ayumu.
we'll see.
I don't know.
I mean, it's not that important,
It's
but
it's not. It's not. I think the other three to me definitely feel like they are those leader positions, and then Ayumu almost just feels like we had to give the title to someone.
yeah, like somebody's got to be the center in this.
But also like Nijigasaki, they're mostly slight. It's not really a spoiler, but um, they're mostly like solo idols in Nijigasaki.
Yeah, like there's a
Like
lot of
there are group songs, but
like
it's
through
more
AMQ, like you
focused.
see a lot of. I've seen a lot of like the I guess music video style of performance.
Yeah, like it's definitely more focused on them as an individual rather than a whole group. I don't even fact check this. I don't remember the Nijigasaki Club even having like a name for all of them, other than Nijigasaki High School Idol Club.
That'd be really off putting because like I mean that, that makes them
I
yeah,
don't.
it's like really different. I guess
Yeah,
like they don't have
I
they don't
don't
have the plot.
remember. I don't remember them having like a name.
I feel like you would if they did.
I agree, unless it was something like end of season 2 that I just forgot, but I don't believe they do. I mean, they have the subgroups obviously, like everyone else does. Although that's not really a plot point in the other Love Lives. Like you don't know any of the subgroups from watching. Like there are subgroups of Muse and Duck Wars.
Yeah, I looked up the what's it called? And they are like the list goes Muse, Aquars, Nijigasaki High School Idol Club. They didn't
Yep.
give a fuck, dude. They're like, yeah,
Yeah.
we're idols, I guess. I guess they're not like competing in Love Live. It doesn't really mean anything. So
Yeah, they're not competing in Love Live. They're mostly either solo artists or like fun little subgroups or just kind of like they feel like collabing, they'll collab type of vibes. So there's no need for it, but it's still it's kind of funny.
yeah, I'm guessing. I mean, looking at these others, uh, Lila is probably Superstar, I would assume.
That's Superstar, yes.
Obviously, Arise, Saint Snow are the rival groups. So I'm guessing Sunny, Passion, and BB are other
Those
rival
are
groups.
Superstar. Yep.
Oh, both of them are Superstar? They got two rivals?
Both are Superstar.
Interesting.
Unless I'm forgetting BB from something, which I might be.
I have
Oh
no.
no. BB is it's a subgroup. Right. Duh. It's subgroup for OG.
I see. Oh, okay.
It's the
So,
it's the potentially the worst subgroup in terms of music, but definitely a subgroup.
alright. So,
Sunny is
let's see.
star though.
So, like, the subgroups would be like different combinations of characters within the.
Yes.
Okay.
Subgroups are gonna be like all of the Love Lives have little subgroups of just characters that they like to kind of put together to record certain songs. So like BB is Maki, Ellie, and Nico. And that's their little subgroup. And then there's a couple songs out from that group. And it's just kind of these like somewhat random pairings that all of the Love Lives do. I liked it better because Nijigasaki actually like forms the subgroups. Whereas in like, oh, I just watch OG Love Live and then I look at their subgroups, they feel a little random.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I like the OG one that I looked at for BB was definitely random. Is like fucking Elise, whatever her name was, Nico, and fuck, what was her name? The red hair one.
Maki. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
Maki, Ellie, and Nico.
yeah. Looking at Sia Ron for one of the Sunshine ones. They got the fucking like
The Sunshine ones
the
are very
Miami Heat
random.
big three like line up here with Yo, Ruby, and Chica. I
I'm
can't
taking my
imagine.
They
dogs to South Beach.
Yeah, 'cause I can't imagine none of the other ones are. Yeah, like fucking Kana, Daya, and Hanamaru. It's like almost there, just like weighed down by like one person. It's a guilty kiss. Is that Johan?
Guilty Kiss
Oh, it's
is one of the
Yohane.
better
I don't
musics.
like
I
Yohane, but
I think Guilty
she's a
Kiss
good
has
singer.
good music. Well, that's why you might like Yohane in the Yohane spin-off.
Is she gonna be like far less like chuny just
Yes.
because she's in the setting, she didn't
Yes.
have to pretend.
Yes, she's gonna be a lot less shooty. At least it feels that way. the setting might come into play there, where it's just, oh yeah, of course she feels that way because in a fantasy world. But
Yeah. I don't think I'm gonna let Parhelion change any tier list options.
I think that's a good idea. When you watch it, you'll understand because some characters feel drastically different from their Sunshine counterparts.
Yeah, I mean it's like
So
fair
if
enough
anything,
because
I
like
think it would be unfair to change them.
writing a fantasy story based around an idol group that isn't actually an idol. Yeah, I mean I would imagine it would be.
Like I remember us watching it, and Mari showed up, and we're just like, "This is not Mari."
Like I
Just
imagine her
definitively.
speech quirk isn't gonna be quite the same if there at all.
Mhm.
Yeah. It doesn't particularly surprise me. It wouldn't really make sense given the setting. But yeah, that was a good old episode there. We're pretty far into this, honestly. Nice. I guess we had like a shorter one last time. Well, I say short. Our average is I feel like it increased drastically over the
Yeah.
more recently. Um, but
Yeah,
yeah.
I think we got much better at just like talking for an hour and a half to 2 hours.
The level
Yes.
up tier list helped. Yes.
I want to start planning like the next guest episode, but considering our kerfuffle next week and then episode 100 is approaching, that might be a
Yeah, we gotta
little
figure out something to that. Piki had an idea, but forgot. So we gotta figure something out.
yeah. Episode 100
We'll think.
coming like
Surely
slightly
episode 100 will have something happen.
surely. If we can think of something
No,
special to do for episode
we can think of
100,
something. We can think of something.
we will try. Uh,
Probably is because we did that whole like first year with themes. It's like, oh, well, we've already kind of done a lot of our things that you would do for an episode 100.
yeah, like a favorite character type thing we've already done.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, the old idea was, which unrealistic, was like rank every a Pokemon, but we gotta think of something else. We gotta think of something else.
Rank
We
every
That
Pokemon would be
That'd be a
fire,
funny
but
like
would be
series
really
of
funny.
episodes. I feel like
yeah.
if we like really get cope on ideas, like we'll just set like a whole month basically would be fucking dedicated. And actually, no, we probably have to go like a generation an episode basically.
Yeah. Because also we're going to be arguing about them too. So if
Yeah,
you think about it, if we're doing just Gen 1 and it takes us a minute
yeah, it's over. That's
to
hours,
rank on
multiple hours
average, that's our that's the longest episode we've done at that
easily.
point.
Yeah,
And that's a minute average.
yeah. I mean, some of them would probably be easier than others, but
There's going to be some fights break out in something like that, though.
Watchdog and F tier instantly.
I can. I mean, I think Watchdog is the worst Pokemon in existence, so I could agree with that.
There we go.
Alright, yeah, you already know Gen 5 Watchdog to F tier. Let's go. Yeah. Yeah, this will be 96. And then we're gonna record a couple next week. Well, we'll do
So
the one and then we have
yeah,
the Friday the next
about a
week.
month.
That'll be 98. So April. A couple weeks
Oh.
into April will be
What is
uh,
that, April 12th? Episode
my
100? Or, well, April 13th. Yeah.
my calendar
Sounds
would
about
open.
right.
Yeah, April 13th will be episode
Yes.
100. We got time.
Interesting.
We got a month.
Figure it
Yeah.
out.
Technically
We
less,
got
but
time. Basically a month.
Yeah.
yeah, basically a month. I should complete Nijigasaki. It was episode 100 determines if the
Episode
podcast
100
ends or not.
Yeah, that could be a toxic.
It'd be the funniest way to end the podcast ever. Get to 100 and then just PK leaves mid-episode. Or I wait till the end of the episode to, like, reveal it.
You reveal it, but you're lying just to get the clicks, and then you message me later and are like, I'm just
lie to get the,
just
like,
fucking
we don't
around.
record the podcast the next week, and then after that we come back. Anyway. Yes, episode end. Yes, that thing. If you like the video, you should hit like, 5-star rate, whatever platform you're on. If you are on the audio only side of things and like go to the YouTube, you can do that by searching Is the Order an Anime Podcast. We are the only one. Can't possibly miss us. And if you go from YouTube to audio only, it's the exact same thing. Is the Order an Anime Podcast? No one else would ever dare steal our name, probably. They'd actually have to be self-sabotaging to do that, because this, on a technical level, is not a good name for a podcast, but we like it, so we're keeping it.
Not a bad name.
I love it personally.
Yeah.
SEO optimization wise,
like it took a lot of thought for us to come up with this and like things we like.
Yeah, there's a world where this is like PodXcast.
PodXcast is
PodXcast
say that again.
was a moment.
God.
Did I come up with that one?
No, that was me.
I don't remember. Was that you?
Literally the group chat with me, Spat, and Chimp when we
Oh
were
my
memeing
gosh,
about it.
no.
It's
like,
called
so
PodX.
It's like
Right.
What is
Gotcha,
it?
gotcha.
Waku or
No,
something?
it's called
I don't know.
PodXcast, but he suggested, let me scroll up. He just like pinged me. Yeah, he said Pod Waku. It was like one time he just like sent a message and he said new segment Waka or Baka and pinged me, and I'm like, what the fuck does this even mean?
What does that mean?
You gotta figure it out. You gotta fill in the blanks, bro. Read between the lines.
Okay, but was it Waka or was it Baka?
Fuck if I know, dude. I'm like, I said, what does this mean? And he's like, of course you wouldn't know. You're not a serious podcast. He said, listen to a podcast. I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. This fucking guy. Anyway, where was I in the outro? Every Saturday, 3 p.m. EST without fail, except for when we do, there will be a new episode out for you to enjoy. So I hope you enjoyed this one, and we hope to see you in another episode. Thank you, and goodbye.